You can actually pass one around, actually. It's probably the easiest way. Just pass one around, thanks, Rhonda. And you can see the little young plant, and there are some out on the table, or they were. And the quandong will not get much bigger than what you see there while it's in the pot. That's about as big as it's going to get. Now you can see the shell still sitting there on the top of the pot, and it is split open, and that is the little baby quandong. Now what did I need to do to get those things to grow? Now, as I said, I tried all the methods. I went through all the different ways that people have shown me. One of the best was what I thought at the time was what Ben Lethbridge says. You get all those seeds, wash them first of all with bleach, get them all nice and clean. You've got to have them lovely and clean. And then you put them into a little bag full of sphagnum moss, and you put a little bit of fungicide inside the bag, put them in a drawer and let them sit there for 6 weeks or thereabouts, and with any luck, and I say with any luck, they germinate. No, I want hundreds. I want hundreds of them to grow. That's what I wanted. I eventually had close to 4 boxes of quandongs, so 4 boxes, and I'm talking 24 pots this size in a box. So that gives you some idea of just how many I got to grow. I needed to do bulk amount of quandongs, and probably the easiest way of the lot is just to chuck all your quandong seed out into the ground and hope they come up, but I wanted definite proof of that. So what did I do? I talked to Neville Bonney, and Neville Bonney talked about various other plants as well as the quandongs, and but the method was very much the same, and this is the method that he used and he suggested was the way to do it. And I'm going to say this to everybody here, because you all live in South Australia, yes? Yes. Okay. You're on the best state of Australia, because you go at lovely times where you have 40-degree days. Most important, the 40-degree days and above. Because what you need to do with these quandongs is you need to get them to split open. And there are people that will sit there and say, yes, hit them with a hammer, crack them in a vice, do this, do that. That's not what's done in nature. So you really, if you're trying to grow anything at all, think about what happens naturally, so in the natural world. And the way it's done in the natural world is either being broken down by years and years of weathering, which has, a great significant amount of time wasted just to get one little plant to grow, or you think about what actually does trigger them to start, and generally it's heat. So what we do, and I did this on Gardening Australia, old Sophie Thompson came around and took the cameras with her out in our backyard, and I showed them all how we do this. So this has gone across Australia, so I hope a few people are taking some notice of it. I grabbed probably half a bucket of quandong seed, and I'm talking about 3,000 or 4,000 quandong seeds, so I didn't muck around. And at the same time I also grew some sandalwood seed as well, same thing. So sandalwoods and quandongs are very, very similar. But I separated the two. I didn't want to keep the two together because I wanted the sandalwoods to grow in one area and I wanted quandongs to grow in others. So what we did is we put them into separate buckets, and we filled the bucket with sawdust, and we just mixed it all up with the sawdust. And I was told by another expert, one of the best things to use as a fungicide is chamomile tea. Now chamomile tea has some properties in it which is very useful as a fungicide. So we went down to the local supermarket, bought a packet of tea bags, broke them all open, got all the chamomile out, sprinkled it in amongst the sawdust, and so that made up the mix. Now, first of all, we needed to get these quandongs ready and primed and ready to go. So we watched the weather forecast. Now, most people don't believe what the Bureau of Meteorology will tell you, but they do tell you that there's going to be some 40-degree days. That's the trigger. That's the thing you need to know about. So what you do is you get the day that is going to be 40 degrees. The night before, you soak all your seed in water and let them sit overnight in water, and that softens the outside of that shell just enough to allow it to start to crack, because the next day what you're going to do is take your seeds and you're going to place them in the hottest place you can find in your backyard on a sheet of black plastic or black iron. So what you're really trying to do, and I don't want you to go putting them in microwaves or in ovens, I want you to use the natural way of using the sun and put them out there for the full day in full heat. 42 degrees days, 45 if you can get it, even better.
Yes,
and you can get it up your way, there's no question about that. And then your quandongs have actually primed themselves ready to go. You won't see it, but they will actually crack. I think I've got a picture here somewhere of the micropyle there, and you can see the little line right across there, and it actually does a little crack in one of those edges and that little edge there. And once that's cracked, once that's broken, and once the seal is gone, the moisture can then get into the embryo, into the centre of the quandong, and it doesn't take long before it starts to grow. Now, I'll get you to pass this, that's right, I'll get you to pass that around, because after a couple of weeks, this is what you see. Exactly that. I'll just lay it on the top. You can have a look at it and you can see exactly what it looks like. And that is a young quandong starting to germinate. The actual quandong itself, the seed, is cracked open, and you can see how it's starting to form, and the root system will start to head itself down. Now, when you've got a bucket of these, there's nowhere in the world you want to leave them for very great lengths of time. So once you've got a bucket full, as you will do if you're going to give it a try, every few days get that bucket and tip them out very, very gently into another bucket, and just go through them very gently and find the ones that have cracked open. And as soon as you find those, plonk them into pots like you got here, so that the kernel is sitting on the top of the actual pot. The root system is then pointing down, and fill it with soil around the outside, and it doesn't take you very long before this starts to form. And so within a very short period of time you start to get these quandongs. The actual shell will fall off and the root systems will go to the bottom, and there's your beautiful little quandong tree. Now, as I said, they're not going to get much bigger than that right from the word go. They will not grow bigger because they're restricted by those small pots. But the idea is then to get them out into the ground as soon as you possibly can. Go on, question.